Now, what I'm about to tell you, they would probably teach you at the school later on anyway. Vorden then started to use the magnetism ability he had obtained from Ian. He pulled over a small bolt and began to levitate around in his hand. Everyone knows about the power level system. There are 8 levels in total. These levels are actually determined by how many mutant cells you are able to activate in your body and not actually determined by strength. But if the power levels don't actually determine strength, then why the test when we started school? Quinn asked. The test the military gives you is actually to put you into the subcategories they created, the 1.1, 1.2, etc. This can sometimes be determined by what skills you have as well. Quinn was suddenly confused because he was sure he had seen the number 5 on it before. These watches are the answer. The watches they put on us are able to determine the number of mutant cells in our body. And now, that brings me to your book, Vorden said as he pointed towards it. Not everyone can activate a high number of cells. It might take a while before we can tell if you have the ability to learn it or not. It sounded harsh, but what Vorden was saying was true. He had heard examples of rich CEOs who had bought their kids high-level ability books, only to be disappointed when they weren't able to succeed. The higher the ability book, the more information it would reveal about the method used. It was the fact that your soul weapon also had something to do with the number of mutated cells in your body as well. This would determine how strong of a soul weapon you had. The example Vorden gave was Momo. Although Momo's ability wasn't too strong in a fight, his soul weapon was incredibly powerful as a level 6 ability user. Vorden had explained that learning a level 6 ability book of the Bat would take months to learn, but while here, they could get a head start. But Quinn thought differently. There was one thing Vorden didn't know, and it was that his vampire abilities also worked like a system. Would you like to learn the level 6 shadow ability? Yes. The book then lifted into the air, and the pages started turning and flashing in front of him. Vorden stood on the sideline and took a step back. He had never seen anything like this happen before. Once all of the pages of the book had been flipped, it disappeared and vanished into thin air. Vorden immediately rushed over to Quinn, who was holding his head with his hand. "What happened? Are you okay?" Vorden asked. "Yeah, I'm fine." "Congratulations! You have learned the level 6 shadow ability. You have now unlocked the shadow skills tab. You have unlocked the mutant cell stat. 10 skill points have been added. New shadow skill dimensional storage has been activated. New skill shadow control level 1 has been added." The ability book had vanished once again, just like the old book he had received. This time he had also been given an entirely new tab that was dedicated only to his shadow ability in the system. "Hey Quinn, what's wrong? Did something happen? Where's the book?" Vorden asked. Quinn then went to tap his head a couple of times with his finger. "Inside?" said Vorden. "What do you mean it's inside your head?" Quinn nodded. Vorden was surprised, but at the same time, not. He had learned so many crazy things today, and this one was probably one of the least shocking. Vorden didn't ask too many questions, and gave Quinn a few moments to sit down and rest. He didn't really understand what he meant by it was all inside his head. Of course, this was Quinn's way of getting around telling Vorden it was a system. Status: Race: Vampire. Ability: Shadow. HP: 55 of 55. MC: 100 of 100. Strength: 15. Stamina: 15. Agility: 15. Charm: 5. System: can you explain the MC stat to me? The MC stat is how many mutant cells you currently have in your body. Every time you use your ability, the MC numbers will go down, but worry not, for it will auto-regenerate itself over time. With that said, Quinn decided to put his stat points into strength and agility as he had been doing so far. Strength: 16. Agility: 16. While Vorden was still giving him space and walking around the room, it also gave Quinn the time to check out a few of the other things he had unlocked earlier. To the side of the screen, it showed his inventory, where he had 16 basic tier crystals, 1 intermediate crystal, and also an advanced tier crystal as well. He didn't know when he had obtained them, but at some point he must have done. Was it while I was a bloodsucker? But Quinn couldn't remember killing anything other than Ian. It was the only explanation. When he had murdered Ian, did all his crystals transfer over into his system? The section to the right allowed him to select the item. He first chose the Rataclaw crystals. The shop auto-sorted itself and gave a message in the center. No items can be made with these crystals. Then, when selecting the other 2 crystals, items had appeared up in the center this time. Although these items were still grayed out, Quinn now knew the reason why. 3 intermediate crystals required to create this item. After searching through the shop more, he realized there were some weapons and items that only needed a number of crystals. When selecting the advanced tier crystal, the shop auto-sorted itself once again, and a ring was shown on screen. 1 of 10 advanced tier Deathbat crystals. Effects: allows the user to walk in the sun for 3 hours without being affected by the sun. This was a fantastic discovery. While Quinn was planning to create an outfit that completely blocked out the sun, there was a ring in the shop that had the same effect. The only problem was, it required him to kill 10 of these Deathbat, which were advanced tier beasts. Then there was a second problem. Beasts, especially on the higher tiers, were quite specific to what planet they lived on. Then a question hit Quinn's mind. Crystals could only be turned into one type of item, which all had the same effect. The quality of the item created would depend on the crafter, but if the item was destined to be a ring, a sword was unable to be crafted from the same type of crystal. Did Ian know what item the Deathbat crystal would give him? And if so, why would Ian need such a thing?
Hi, Quinn here. Wondering what happens next? If you want to jump the queue and unleash all episodes, click on the link here and install the Pocket FM app.